Hey guys, I hope everybody can hear me okay. Hey Texas, can you hear me okay? I just wanted to make sure that I had to monkey around with my audio settings a little bit earlier, so um, I just wanted to make sure that everybody could see me, everybody could hear me. Um, so, hey Jay, can you hear me okay? Okay, great. Sounds like everybody can hear me. So, um, I was just going to let you guys know that I'm planning to be on here long enough to cover the two movies that I wanted to talk about for Extreme Cheese Wednesday. I may start doing this on a regular basis on Wednesday until I run out of super cheesy movies to do this on, but I may not run out of cheesy movies. There's a they're kind of plentiful in my opinion, cheesy movies. That doesn't mean we don't like them. It just means that they're they're pretty cheesy. So anyway, I plan to stay on here long enough to cover the two that I was going to talk about tonight. I am still sick. I don't know if I said anything about this the last one I did. Not to bore you guys with it, but I have been running a temp of around 103. It's been going down with medicine. But then when the medicine wears off, of course, the temp goes back up, which also means I can't go to work. So I've still been working from home. Um, if I'm not feeling any better by Thursday evening, Friday evening, I'm going to make another doctor's appointment and see if they can just please give me something that will knock this fever out at least so I can, I mean, I've been getting stuff done, but I just feel guilty for not being at the office. My supervisor's been real understanding about everything and tells me that even, or she appreciates me helping out all I can. But if I need to take off sick, and I did notice today on my, as far as time management, it looks like I've accrued um, about three sick days. Um, that's not a lot, but if I have to use one, I guess I will. But I'm, you know, I, I just feel like if I can at least make it back here to my computer and get signed in to my PC at work, um, then I can, work on tickets and, call people if needed and um, all that. And I'm not going to like air any dirty laundry or talk about my, you know, uh, real personal things, but there's some things that went on earlier that if I look like I've been upset, that's why. So that's another thing that might possibly make me have to cut it short, but I don't really want to because I enjoy these things and I enjoy hanging out with you guys. And um, Jay, you're asking 103 is that cold bath time? I think it's like 104 when you're supposed to pack somebody in ice or whatever. Thankfully, it hadn't gotten that high. But, it started out, it was a low grade fever at best, which, you know, didn't make me feel quite as bad. But then it started rising a little bit more. And so, yeah, it's making me feel pretty rough. But like I said, if I can sit back here and do tickets for work and make phone calls and stuff like that, I can surely sit back here and talk about a couple of movies that I enjoy and hang out with you guys for a little bit. Um, I do want to make sure that I'm done by 10 o'clock because CK has something special planned for anybody that wants to watch it. I was finally able to get the commentary for Terror at 10 Killer 2 CK. And I think he's synced it up with the movie, and he's going to be premiering that at 10 o'clock. Because I told him I shouldn't go on any longer than 10 o'clock for the stream. So you guys got that to look forward to if you're not too tired after my stream. You can go on over and indulge in the Terror at 10 Killer goodness. But anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started with the two movies. If you haven't figured out by my advertising or by the pictures behind me, I'm going to be talking about Blood Hook and Blood Lake tonight. Blood Lake is actually shot on video. I don't believe Blood Hook is shot on video, but if somebody finds me an error saying that, feel free to put that in the chat. But this one, Blood Hook is Trauma put it out. And I think Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hertz were like producers on it. So I would suspect it's not shot on video. Hey, old curly jaws. And this time I would agree with you. 10 out of 10. It is a classic, albeit a cheese classic, but still a classic. Let's see. The Incredible Melting Man, old curly jaws. Yeah, it seems like I may have seen not all but part of that movie, but it's been so long. I would be interested in revisiting it, definitely. Um, Texas, did you mean me or old curly jaws that you got a few movies off Amazon that were reviewed? Um, because I mean, I'll be happy if it was old curly jaws, but I'll be happy if it was me too, because I love being able to introduce people um, to movies they may have not heard about otherwise, or maybe heard about um, once upon a time and then maybe forgot about it over the years. Okay, thank you, Texas. Well, I mean, I hope that my reviews and recommendations and all that are pleasing to you guys. I hope I don't, really toot the horn of some of these movies and then you get them and you're like, oh, this is crap. This isn't even entertaining. It's not even entertaining crap. So I hope that, for anybody that has listened to me review movies and then actually purchased a movie because I reviewed it, I hope that you found it pleasing to your eye and ears. Um, oh, okay. Final Exam and The Dorm That Dripped Blood. Both college slashers, pretty much. Um, Yeah, this is one movie where I wish we had seen a Blood Hook too, but so many of these movies like this, you don't, it's like a one and done. I'm guessing the filmmakers just weren't interested in making a second one. They were interested in moving on from the original that was made. And doing something else, and maybe no other filmmakers were interested in taking the reins and doing something with it. So yeah, we're gonna get started with Blood Hook, and this is the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, Now, I'll be totally honest with you guys. The quality of it is not, in my opinion, the best Blu-ray quality out there. But I get take it that these companies work with what they've got, and so if the camera negative was not up to snuff, then your Blu-ray quality is perhaps not going to be as good as a negative that is better quality or in better shape. Uh, that would be awesome, Texas. Bloodhook 2 with Curly Jaws and Pauly Shore and Andrew Dice Clay. I would buy it. Jay, you want to know how do you define cheesy movie? Um, well, I mean, I'm going to tell you what I think is cheesy about both of these movies that we're going to talk about tonight. But things that make a movie cheesy for me would be really bad dialogue, really over the top acting, um, just completely ludicrous setups, you know, um, kind of weird ways to kill somebody off. I mean, there's several different um, and when I get to Blood Lake, we can add overly sexed prepubescent teens to that list. Although Blood Lake may be the one and only movie that has that. So, um, yeah, like I said, there are several things that go into making a movie cheesy. And it doesn't have to be a horror movie. That's just usually what I talk about. I mean, some comedy movies can be cheesy. Um, for instance, when I was talking about Paul Kelman, when I had the Paul Kelman tribute, that movie Gas that he had a part in, um, that movie I enjoy it, but it is also wacky and cheesy, good fun. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that only horror movies can be cheesy. Comedy movies can be cheesy as well. Uh, let's see. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, Danny, you need to watch Evil Bong. That's a good one. Yeah, that's. I mean, Evil Bong has been one that's been in the back of my mind to watch, and I. It's just one that I haven't really gotten around to. So, but it's good that you guys throw these ones out there because that way that'll help me never run out of cheesy movies to watch and talk about. Um, but back to Bloodhook. Bloodhook doesn't have a really complicated plot to it. Um, I'll give you kind of a short plot synopsis. So, 17 years ago, Peter's grandfather went missing under mysterious circumstances. Now, Peter and his friends have returned to the placid Wisconsin town to check out his inherited lake house and to partake in the annual Muskie Madness fishing competition. And yes, a fishing competition takes center stage in this movie. I mean, I am not kidding about that at all. Soon after his arrival, Peter begins to sense that something isn't quite right, but none of his friends nor the local sheriff will believe him. But as townsfolk and tourists begin to disappear, Peter becomes determined to solve the mystery as well as that of his grandfather's disappearance, and soon finds himself facing off against a fish hook wielding madman. Um, now, a little background on this movie. This is the feature film debut of director Jim Mallon, who did Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie. Um, it is considered a comedic slasher. It does have quite a bit of blood in it. I wouldn't call it overly gory, but it does have a fair amount of blood. Uh, It was never released domestically in its original version. And this is quite long, especially for, a low budget, cheesy horror film, at an hour and 50 minutes. Vinegar Syndrome presents this underseen regional horror oddity, fully uncut and featuring previously censored gore and mayhem, on Blu-ray in a fresh, cinematographer-approved restoration from its original camera negative. Which, again, I will say that the original camera negative must not have been in too hot a shape to begin with, because this Blu-ray doesn't look as good as some other Blu-rays I've seen. There's 8 of those now. Wow. Curly Jaws, you say Bloodhook's plot was interesting. The original story did not expect the killer. I'll be honest, I didn't expect the killer. I was thinking everybody else but the person that turned out to be the killer. But I know fishing takes center stage in this movie, in a fishing competition for muskies, especially. But the choice of weapon is actually a giant fish hook, and by giant I mean like this big, and it looks like one of those little bobbers, but it's got hooks all over it, and this is what the killer uses to hook people and kill them, even tearing one guy's ear off before killing him. But again, I don't think the movie is overly gory. Vinegar Syndrome must think it really is gory. But of course, that might be to sell more copies of it. I really can't say for sure. But this movie has so many quirky characters that I really don't recall seeing that many quirky characters in one movie. Behind me, you'll see a picture of a woman with some weights, and that character's name is Bev D. And I'm serious, she goes by Bev D. That's what her name tag says at the Muskie Madness festival, competition, whatever you want to call it. And she's kind of like the person that gives out prizes for different things. And she also, I'm never really sure if the guy's name is Evelyn. And he's, he wants people to think that he's like been driven insane by the Agent Orange when he was in the war. And he wants people to think that he can blow people up and stuff like that. And he's got a lot of guns. The guns turn out to be wood. About midway through the film, the sheriff or a cop scrapes paint off of it and shows it to the main character, Peter, and says, here's your I don't know what MR-15 or whatever it was. They evidently thought he had military style rifles, and basically what I guess they were carved wood was painted black, and so this guy's name is Evelyn, believe it or not, and I was never really sure. Maybe the cop does kind of sort of look like Hulk Hogan. He looks like somebody familiar to me, and I just couldn't exactly figure out who. He looked like he ought to be on an episode of the Dukes of Hazzard or something, but to be honest. So I never was really sure, and y'all feel free to put in the chat if you've seen this movie and you picked up on whether or not the husband that Bev D talks about is Evelyn. and that they're kind of having an on again, off again relationship, and that the kid that Bev D has is Evelyn's kid. Why even name a guy Evelyn, I'll never know. But like I said, this is a wacky movie. Um, and then you have a guy named Lutke who runs the local bait shop in town. You have Durst, I think his last name is, and he knew Peter's grandfather, and they were friends and fished together and stuff. And there was an accident where Durst accidentally shot Peter's grandfather. But instead of Peter's grandfather hating him, he gave him a job, like being a caretaker for his summer house or whatever. And so, and then you have this really pompous guy who is willing to cheat to win the muskie contest. And you have a weird, oddball assortment of Peter's friends. So actually, it's his girlfriend, and then three friends: Rodney, Fenner, and I'm trying to remember the other chick's name. I'm totally forgetting it now, but the girl I'm talking about is really obsessed with her looks and her hair, and it seems like she's trying to get Peter all the time, even though Peter is obviously in love with his girlfriend. So you have all this in the mix. Rodney is like, I don't know if you would describe him as a punk or what, but he goes around talking in a weird language, and uses a fishing lure as an earring after they arrive. And he really likes this one band where the music keeps playing over and over and over again. Plus, you've got the cicadas in the background in multiple scenes. You have another couple who bring their kids in an RV and they're boating, all that stuff. And they're a really obnoxious family. The husband's a jerk. The wife is loony. And she likes loons. And she's always going, woohoo, woohoo, trying to call the loons. Then the two bratty kids they have, the little boys steal stuff from everybody. And the girl is just obnoxious in her own way. She doesn't want to be there. She's like, sounds like your typical spoiled brat teenager. Doesn't want to interact with family, doesn't want to do anything. And let's see who else that we haven't mentioned. That's like a lot of the big characters in it, and the ones that you see a lot in the film. But Bev D, like I said, I'm not sure if Evelyn is her husband, ex-husband, what he is. But then she has sex one time with Peter's friend Fenner, and then goes back to Evelyn. And it's like, what the heck's going on here? What kind of girl is she? And then her kid gets attacked by this gigantic fish hook, but he doesn't die. So there's just like so much going on in this movie. Curly Georgie say, I need to get the cast of Bloodhook at a convention. I wouldn't mind getting that poster signed. Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't even have a poster of it, but the artwork is really, I think it's cool and unique. I like it. I always did like it. And it's got the little tagline, you can't worm your way out. So when people are killed, the killer ends up putting, like, you know how you would string fish? I used to see my dad have fish on a stringer, and he would bring them home, and he would fillet them, and then my mom would cook them. He'd get crappie, bluegill, bass, sometimes catfish, um, but he would put them on a stringer, which basically you run this like nylon rope like thing through the mouth of the fish, and then you have them on a big stringer. So essentially, that's what the killer does with the dead people. And he like keeps them underneath a dock, and they near the end of the film when they all are floating out, he's like pulling this stringer, and they're all coming out one by one. But the ones that you see are the guys he's killed. If he's killed any women, you don't see them there, which is odd. I wasn't sure about that, but oh, hey Wes, you say the cast of Bloodhook would sign at some cinema wasteland, maybe there or a flea market. uh, uh, I'm doing okay, Wes. I was telling everybody, like I told you earlier, that I'm running like a 103 temp. That goes down some with medication, but I'm having to, work from home because the doctor told me that I couldn't go back to the office until my fever was gone for 24 hours without taking any medicine. It's not doing that yet, so probably going to be seeing the doctor again come Friday if I'm not better by Thursday. Texas, you say you picked up The Forest on CK's recommendation. I kind of did too, but you know what? I don't remember if I've gotten through that movie yet. That movie is cheesy too, but it just seems a little slow to me. Um, on the other hand, Bloodhook is long. It's a long ass movie, but it has so much craziness going on in it that it doesn't seem like that long of a movie. Curly Jaws, you say you recommend The Giant Claw. Okay, I've heard of that one, but I don't believe that's one I've seen. You couldn't get through Madman? Oh wow! Madman is actually a semi cheesy movie for me. There's several different reasons, and I might talk about that one at some point. But I can't believe you thought it was terrible. I figured that one would be kind of up your alley, old Curly Jaws, but I'm wrong. um, Hold on, guys. I'm just checking my. I know I shouldn't be doing this during a stream, but. Oh, okay. I have WebEx Teams or Cisco Teams on my phone for work, and just. I'm not required to look at it when I'm off the clock, but if my phone vibrates or makes a noise or something, I just automatically check it because I like to know what's going on. And we've got some guys in infrastructure that they must work around the clock because here it is at past 8:30 and they're still doing stuff for work. That's why I wouldn't want that job. They get paid big bucks, but I don't know if the big bucks would actually be worth it to me to be on call all the time. So anyway, I highly, highly recommend this one, especially if you've never seen it. Vinegar Syndrome may still have some copies of it. Speaking of Vinegar Syndrome, I did, how I said I was a little PO'd about not getting my stuff as quickly as somebody that bought those bundles. So I emailed them just to ask for a status update on my order. And they basically told me what I had told you guys that one night, that they send out the bundles first, then the pre-orders, then the regular orders. So I'm last, essentially, in that grouping. And so anyway, they said that my stuff should be shipped out before the end of the month, and that they would send me an email when it's shipped. I haven't gotten an email yet, but there's still time in the month. Um, but anyway, you might want to, if you're interested in getting this and you don't have a copy, then you might want to try Vinegar Syndrome first, see if they got any copies left. Otherwise, maybe you could check, Amazon or eBay or something like that. But you got to be aware with eBay, because sometimes people like jack up the price just because they know there's a certain group of people that's really going to want something like this. And if nobody else has it, of course they're going to jack up the price. Hey, Dirk. Curly Jaws, you say, why not just send it all at once? Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with this. It's almost like they punish people for not buying us bundles, and it's like, don't y'all have enough people working there to, like, maybe these two people can send out all the bundles. These two people can send out the pre-orders. These two people can send out the regular orders. I mean, forgive me for not wanting to spend all that money, like I said, on a bundle, when probably half the movies I'm not even going to want to watch. Dirk, you say, yeah, I haven't heard jack squat from Vinegar Piss. Yeah, like I was saying, I emailed them, but it was just the answer that I already knew. That's the order that they do things in. Hey, Darren, you say, me and Dirk been talking on Facebook. I forgot about your stream. That's okay. I don't mind at all. I mean, at least you're here now. Both of you guys are here now. But Steve tells me, he says, you got to advertise early enough. He said, giving somebody a few hours notice is not enough time. So I thought, well, I'll do a couple of days. And I said, if I put it out there now and I do it on Wednesday, I think this was Monday whenever I did that, Steve said, yeah. So, we got a pretty good crew in here right now. But I was hoping to maybe get you guys are my regulars. I was hoping to maybe pull in some new people maybe that haven't been in as well as you guys. But I don't know. Evidently, evidently I'm not, as I told Steve, evidently I'm not popular enough yet. And he said, well, Dana, it's not school. And I said, well, no, that's not what I'm saying. It's like, I'm just saying that some people are more popular on YouTube and have more of a following on YouTube. That's just the way it goes. I'm not jealous about it. I just, I don't split hairs about it. I just, call it like I see it, let's see. Darren, you say, mine's here tomorrow. I did no pre-order, so I'm guessing yours will be soon. Cool. I'm really hoping that I do get mine soon. And Steve added to, hey, Ben. And Steve added to my order, rather than us making two separate orders. And he said that might be why mine got pushed further to the back. But I like to, even though he's upset with me now, I do try to like do nice things for my husband, and if that helps out, uh, I'm willing to do it. Let's see. Turkey said, "Yeah, Darren let me know the Evil Dead chick was on." uh, oh, Curly Jaws, you say if you ever want me on your stream, just let me know. I'm always down. Um, well, I'll keep that in mind. Oh, Curly Jaws, I'm not against having a co-host on here. It is still my hope that I can get Darcy the mail girl on here at some point. But like I said before, with season 4, the last drive-in going on right now, I know they probably pre-film those things, but now's a busy time for them. I mean, they're doing that How Redneck Saved Hollywood show at different places, and so um, I'll kind of wait till things settle down to contact her again, and see if she's interested in doing one. But definitely, old Curly Jaws, I will keep you in mind, because like I said, I'm not against having a co-host. Dirk, you say it's quality, not quantity, Dana. Most people are mainstreamers. Oh, well, Wes was telling me, or CK was telling me about, well, you guys probably saw it, the ones that were in here during one of my streams, and he mentioned the girl that does my killer podcast, and he said that she seemed pretty knowledgeable. Now I watched part of one of her videos, and I think she does talk about some horror movies, and I'm not saying everybody that does good videos has to talk about horror movies. That's not what I'm saying. But when CK told me seemed really knowledgeable, I was expecting that she'd done a lot of horror movie reviews, and being called My Killer Podcast, I would have thought that too. But but she is entertaining, and boy, I got blurry all of a sudden. Hopefully this thing will, I was waiting for it to focus on me. I don't know. I think I move around too much, and sometimes it makes the camera go screwy. Um, but she did seem entertaining and stuff. I'm not saying anything bad about her. Um, I just, I guess I misunderstood. I was thinking she did maybe more horror type stuff. Um, Darren, you say, Dana, I would rather have 7 or 8 regular watchers who comment than 100 who don't. And you're exactly right on that, Darren. That's one of the things that I really like about my regulars. They get in here and they actually, interact with me, interact with everybody else in the chat, and that makes for a really fun time. If nobody was in the chat, or a bunch of people were in the chat and they weren't saying anything, um, it wouldn't be much fun. Um, but anyway, I'll talk about a few the special features on Bloodhook in case some of you are thinking about purchasing this. So it's newly scanned and restored in 2K from 16mm original camera negative. Hook, line, and sinker, an interview with director Jim Mallon. First Bloodhook, an interview with actress Lisa Todd. What's in the Tackle Box, an interview with FX artist Jim Southers. Audio interview with cinematographer and editor Marsha Calm. Still Gallery, original theatrical trailer, reversible cover. And I'll show you the other artwork there. Hope you can see it. Actually, I like both versions of the artwork, but this just seems so much more entertaining to me. So, old Curly Jaws, you say Hatchet was better than Madman. I mean, Hatchet, I liked it okay the first time I saw it, but it's been, I guess since it came out on DVD and Blu ray and stuff, um, since I watched it again. I haven't watched it since got released. Um, Because there for a while, Adam Green kind of just turned me off. It was kind of like, although I didn't think he was cocky like I thought Eli Roth was cocky at first, um, I don't know. There was just something that I didn't care for about Adam Green. Um, and it wasn't jealousy because I'm not making films or have any interest right now in making films. Um, but it just seemed like everybody was kissing his butt because he was the fanboy that got Kane Hodder on board for almost every one of his films that he does, and got to be buddy buddy with Kane Hodder, and But then later on, I kind of mellowed, I guess, and I started watching that Holliston show, which I know has been around for a long time, but I really enjoyed it, and I really especially enjoyed the episodes that Kane Hodder was on. They were really really funny, and Danielle Harris was on there. Several different people were on there. Um, so, like Eli Roth, I have a greater appreciation, and I've mellowed and stuff about Adam Green the same way I did mellowed about Eli Roth after I saw him on The Last Drive-In. Um, okay, I'm not sure what all that is. It's a language I can't read, so I don't know. Uh, Let's see. Dark, you say, I haven't seen Bloodhook, but I heard there's a fisherman killer. I'm in. Yes, you are correct on that, Dirk. Um, so I would guess that you're going to try to get a copy of this. Um, Darren, you say Bloodhook is one of the ones I'm getting. Blind Buy for me. Well, I hope you do enjoy it, Darren. I think you will. Um, but, I've been known to be wrong before. So, um, Darren, you say Hatchet was way overrated. Those sequels are awful. See, that's kind of how I felt about Hatchet the first time I watched it. And I actually ended up buying it. Because I thought, it has Kane Hodder in it. It's directed by a guy that's into horror and all that. But then there was a time period where I kept seeing a lot of stuff about Adam Green, and I don't know. There was just something about the guy that at first rubbed me the wrong way. Like I said, I'm not jealous of his filmmaking successes or anything like that. I just felt like I said, everybody was kissing his butt because he became buddy buddy with Kane Hodder, and Kane Hodder was falling all over himself to be in every movie that Adam Green was in. And I'm like, what's this guy got that other filmmakers don't have? And I'm not saying anything about Kane Hodder. I have great respect for Kane Hodder. And even greater respect for him after I saw To Hell and Back, the documentary on him. But I'm just saying, sometimes it seems like, I think in Kane Hodder's case, the way that he was treated over the whole Friday the 13th, or I mean Freddy versus Jason thing, that was shitty, the way they did him. And I think after that whole debacle, when fanboy Adam Green came along, he was like, oh wow, somebody wants me to actually be in something that could become a franchise like Friday the 13th. And here's my chance to kind of, stay in people's mind as a horror icon. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying he got asked to do this by Adam Green. Adam Green evidently had a lot of enthusiasm for his project, and Kane was kind of looking around for something to keep him in people's minds. Like I said, as a horror icon. So of course he did it. He did what any other smart horror actor would have done. Let's see. Okay, y'all put some stuff in here. I don't want to miss anything anybody's saying. Let me scroll back up here. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, I love all the Hatchet films. Wish they would have continued the series. Hey, John. You say you saw Blood Hook on the thumbnail. That movie is very Wisconsin. It's fun, though. Yes. I would agree with you on both parts. Dirk, you say, oh, Curly, that's like saying Shinedown's Simple Man is better than Skinner's original. You know who else would probably say that, Dirk? Is Steve, because he loves Shinedown. Darren, you say Frozen I thought was fantastic, so I know he can make a good film. See, I have yet to watch Frozen. I know, for shame, but I may hopefully can get around to it at some point soon. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, do you think Kane will ever come back as Jason? I think probably the question is, would he ever want to come back as Jason after the way he was treated when Freddy vs. Jason was going to come out? I mean, they basically let him think that he was going to be playing Jason again and then pull the rug out from under him at the last second. So he might say, fuck you guys, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not, you guys were shitty to me, and I'm not going to give an inch with you. And I could not blame him. I honestly could not. So I really, if it was me and I was in Kane's shoes, I would say fuck you to him. But perhaps Kane is the more forgiving type, and he would do it. But I think that's a question we got to kind of ponder a little bit. Would he be willing to do that after the way he was treated? John, you said the first Hatchet is pretty good. I've seen it way too many times. Texas, I need to see the Skinner documentary, because I don't believe I've seen it. And I like Leonard Skinner's music. Durkee say, I do love Hatchet's brutality, but it's too funny. Takes me out of the films. Alright, I could see that. Darren, you say, Dirk, I agree. The comedy fails for me. Would have been better as a straight up slasher. That makes total sense to me. John, you say, yeah, they went way too far in the sequels. Victor Crowley was mashed potatoes and kept coming back. Okay, so I guess we'll move on. Since I talked for about an hour about Blood Hook, we're going to move on to Blood Lake. And I'll be honest with you guys, I love both of these movies. But out of the two, Blood Lake has to be my all-time favorite of these two movies, at least. And it's at the top of every cheesy movie list I could come up with. This one is shot on video. I believe it was shot in Oklahoma. And this is not a Blu-ray. Nobody has put out a Blu-ray of it. But the AGFA and Bleeding Skull put this DVD out. This is the only legit copy I know of that's out there. It's from 1987. It's only 82 minutes. And it's directed by Tim Boggs. Now, you've heard me talk about that Analog Nightmares book, which I think is the best shot on video review slash list book that's out there for 80s and 90s shot on video films. Um, and Analog Nightmares actually has an in depth kind of interview slash thesis, maybe, from Tim Boggs, who basically shared all his memories of making this film with the writer of Analog Nightmares. And it is all included in Analog Nightmares. And I highly recommend, if you're interested in shot on video movies, that you pick that up. Not only for Tim Boggs' contribution, but for the other contributions as well. Let's see. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say not seen Blood Lake. Well, you are in for a treat, oh Curly Jaws, because you might want to pick it up after I finish my little review of it. Ben, you say Oklahoma-based movies. I need to make a list of them. Yeah, and if you haven't seen this one, Ben, I highly recommend it. Guys, my old basset hound Brandon is back here, and I think he probably wants to go out. So I'm going to put on the lovely Evil Dead background, and I will be back in just a second. Okay. I'm back until both him and Reggie decide they want to come in. Uh, let's see. Dirk, you say, yeah, and the fact that they ripped off Friday the 13th and Madman, I'll just watch those. Darren, you said Blood Lake is another one I've never seen. I do have a copy on bootleg, though. Cool. This is another one that Steve and I did a commentary for a while back. I don't know. I cannot recall if this one has been one that I passed along to CK to put out or not, but I would be willing to. I'd be willing to do so if you guys were interested in that. Darky said, I was thinking about making a list of Louisiana horror. There's a ton. Oh, yes. John, you say, Venom is a good one. Louisiana horror. I think it's Louisiana at least. Um, oh, Curly Jaws, you say, hey, Brandon. I'll have to tell him you said, hey. Oh, Curly Jaws, poor guy. He doesn't see very well, doesn't hear very well. Having a little trouble being stable with his walking the last couple of days. I've been having to help him get up some. His back legs have been giving him some trouble. But anyway, back to Blood Lake. Why do I love this movie so much? Well, I'll tell you one humongous reason why I love this movie so much. And I'll give you a hint. One of the pictures behind me has a picture of a young prepubescent teen boy his character is Lil Tony. I have never seen a kid like this in any movie. Even Sleepaway Camp, who has these young boys that go around taking pictures of the girls with their tops off, and talking about their boobs and stuff like that constantly. This kid has them beat. Because not only does he cuss a lot, but he is extremely oversexed for his age, and it is just so frighteningly weird but funny at the same time. Because there's another like prepubescent girl in this movie, uh, who little Tony constantly seems like he's trying to get in her pants. And these two young kids, Susan and little Tony, have come to a lake house that is owned by little Tony's brother's girlfriend's father. I know that's a mouthful. Um, and they're planning on staying the weekend, and why I don't know how this girl Susan even came. I mean, I'm guessing she went to school with little Tony, and I don't know if little Tony invited her or what, but they're the only young kids in the group. The rest of them are much older. Little Tony's brother, Mike, is, has to be like either, supposedly, I'm guessing, either close to graduating from high school or has graduated from high school. Now, we all know these kids, quote unquote kids, are usually way older than they're playing. But I don't think that little Tony and Susan, I don't think the kids that are playing them are that old. So they're probably right on the mark as far as what age they're playing. And little Tony has some great lines, such as he asks his brother, he says, "Hey Mike, you gonna let me drink beer, or you gonna be a butthole this weekend?" And that is actually the quote that made it to the front of the DVD. Actually, I said it wrong. Actually, the quote is, "You gonna be a butthole this weekend, or are you gonna let me drink?" That's one of little Tony's quotes from the movie. And I don't know, this kid, between saying classic lines like that and constantly trying to get in Susan's pants, making sexual advances and comments towards her, talking about drinking beer, just all kinds of stuff. I could not quit laughing. Every time this kid was on screen, which was the majority of the time, I found myself laughing. Something else that there's a lot of in this movie is water skiing. And I don't know if in 1987 in Oklahoma that water skiing was a big sport. Maybe somebody can share that with me. But I mean, I bet they spend at least 30 minutes showing us scenes of these people water skiing. All the while, there's a guy in cowboy boots, and for some reason, his jeans are up way above one of his cowboy boots, and then the other leg, the jeans are all the way down, covering the other cowboy boot. And he's going around with a knife, and he's killing people. He kills the gardener. Why people with this small lake house would have a gardener, I do not know. And you don't really know the whole story of why this guy is killing people until near the end of the movie. So, let's see. Durkee say, yeah, it's brutal as hell here in the Louisiana heat. Oh, let me see what else we got here, because I think Ben, you say, I know Splinter and Hellraiser Judgment was shot in Oklahoma. Darren, you say John Venom from 2005, decent slasher. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say Return to Sleepaway Camp was great. Uh, I won't respond to that. I'll just say the only thing I'll say about that, oh Curly Jaws, is I was very disappointed in Return to Sleepaway Camp and found it hard to believe that Robert Hiltzik did the original Sleepaway Camp and then did that. That's all I'll say. But if you like it, that's groovy. Um, you're gonna see if Blood Lake is on Tubi, and it may very well be. Yeah, yeah, a little Tony shirt. Um, that might be something I might think about, because I know that at one time I was thinking about doing my own shirts as soon as I can get a heat transfer set up. Um, because there are so many things that they won't let you put on shirts, even at T Public. Um, so I don't think you're going to get, a copyright strike or anything for having a Little Tony shirt. I mean, how many people are going to know about Little Tony from Blood Lake? Um, but just to be on the safe side, there are certain shirts that I'm interested in making, but I don't want my shop to get shut down on T Public. So I thought maybe if I made them and sold them myself, perhaps through my Etsy shop, I might be able to do that. So a Little Tony shirt would definitely be in my wheelhouse of things that I would like to do. Um, Dirk, you say, oh, Curly, are there any original horror films you like better than the remakes? Uh, and, oh, Curly Jaws, you say, Child's Play, I can't stand the remake. Dirk, I almost walked out. Yeah, I hated the remake of Child's Play too, oh, Curly Jaws. Uh, oh, Curly Jaws, you say, I stood up, I was like, well, what in the hell was that shit? I've done that with more than one movie, I'll tell you. Um, but let's see. This doesn't have the best acting or the best dialogue. I mean, you got classic dialogue like that comes out of Little Tony's mouth. But then you have, obviously, as Steve said, these are non-actors. I mean, they don't make a career out of acting in movies, and it shows. But you can tell they had fun with the movie. Um, and I mean, I would say that this is my favorite, all time favorite shot on video film. If you were to ask me today what my favorite shot on video film was, it would be Blood Lake. And I'm willing to bet if you ask me 10 years from now, I would still say Blood Lake. Just because it's so freaking entertaining. I mean, there's really nothing to not like about this movie. Um, the soundtrack is even halfway decent. You have songs by a band called Voyager, which I know nothing about. If you guys do, please feel free to share. Um, but, uh, I mean, so the soundtrack's decent. Um, the kills, although not overly gory, and I will admit that the night scenes when some of the kills happen are murky, which is to be expected with a DVD. Um, that probably came from a less than great source anyway. So But other than that, hold on, I hear Brandon barking, so let me put the lovely Evil Dead background up uh, just for 1 second here. Be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back and I have, in case you care, these are Kellogg's Cinnabon Jumbo Snacks. I don't know if anybody has tried these, but they're pretty good. I'd almost want to put them in milk and eat them like cereal, but I haven't tried that yet. But um, let's see what y'all put in here while I was gone. John, you want to know, is the Chucky series any good? Haven't seen it yet. Um, Personally, John, I like it. I like it a lot better than the remake. Curly Jaws, you say it's amazing. I say it's better than any of the movies. Still love them though, but not Child's Play 2019. Dirk, you say it's okay, John. A lot of younger audiences love it, but it's okay. The finale was stupid as hell though. Darren, you say, Dana, you got me interested in seeing this now. Well, I hope, if you do watch it, I mean, you say you've got a bootleg copy of it. So I'll feel better, if you hate it, at least you didn't spend money on it. Let's see. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say The Incredible Melting Man is brutal as hell. 10 out of 10. Well, that's kind of making me want to watch it, oh, Curly Jaws. Darren, you say, I like the Child's Play remake, but I've never had the desire to see the TV series. Probably will eventually. Dirk, you say it builds up, but then the finale will leave you like a cock teased brood. Ooh. You say it's one of the worst finales ever. Okay, so sorry for all the delays, guys. But, poor Brandon, bless his heart. And then Reggie decided he wanted to go out. And then Brandon wanted to come in. Then Reggie wanted to come in. So it was just one thing after another. But, so I know I didn't read the little synopsis for you before, starting in on all the things I like about it. But let me just share that with you from the back of the DVD. It says, Blood Lake is the most fascinating and stupefying shot-on-video slasher that ever escaped from 1987. A group of unhinged party animals, including adolescent horn dog Little Tony, embark on a weekend trip filled with jet skis, a keg of bush, and an extended game of quarters. Oh yes, they do play quarters in this movie. But look out, there's a supernatural killer on the loose who wears cowboy boots and a silk shirt with a rose stitched on it. Made by real-life friends from Oklahoma on a real-life vacation. Blood Lake is a rewardingly lethal collision of 80s slasher video vomit and twisted cinema verite madness. From false metal soundtrack hits to gratuitous scenes of people sleeping. This might be the only movie in history capable of receiving a stamp of approval from both David Lee Roth and Andy Warhol. Dirk, actually, Reggie is named after Reggie Bannister, but we kid around sometimes that he's also named after Reggie the Reckless. He actually, I don't know if Reggie can wear it anymore because I haven't tried to put it on him for a while. But he actually had a red, sweatsuit. So he kind of had his own Reggie the Reckless costume. John, you say, you think we've discovered all the 80s slasher type films out there, but Vinegar Syndrome keeps finding more. Right. Yeah. Vinegar Syndrome, some of the other boutique labels as well. But Bleeding Skull and AGFA also put out some stuff that, a lot of people might not have heard of as well. There is a big notice on the DVD, and I'm going to read that notice to you. It said, Blood Lake was shot on 3/4-inch tape and edited on 1-inch tape. This transfer is taken from the original 1-inch master tapes. But that does not keep it from being very murky in the darker scenes. So I hope I've kind of, whetted your appetite for Blood Lake, because I would love to hear what other people think of this movie. And who knows, I can hear Steve groaning even though he's asleep. Who knows, I might pick this as one of my wild cards for the Eurocult podcast at some point. But let's talk a little bit about the special features. I'll tell you some of the special features on here. You get a commentary track with director Tim Boggs. The only other person I wish that was on the commentary track with Tim Boggs would be Dave Barry, who plays Mike in the film, and also, you know, wore a lot of hats as far as in the making of the film. I think he may have did the screenplay and some of the other stuff. Um, but Bleeding Skulls, Annie Choi, and Joseph A. Ziemba are also on the commentary with Tim Boggs. There's a Fantastic Fest screening Q&A with director Tim Boggs and producer and star Doug Barry. There's an Ashes short film directed by Tim Boggs, and Unseen, a 1987 investor trailer. So I was thinking that Amazon still has some copies of this available. Let me just do a little, take a little look-see here and see if they do indeed, because I don't want to be talking out of my butt and, you know, having y'all go look, and then you say, well, dang it, we couldn't find it. Now, there is also a movie called Blood Lake that is called like something about lampreys or whatever, and it's got Christopher Lloyd in it and Shannon Doherty. This is not the one that we're talking about now. Now, you can watch it. It's a Prime Video, available with a Prime Video channel subscription. The DVD, unfortunately, the special edition DVD is not available right now. But you may be able to find it on eBay, reasonably priced. But don't hold me to that. The release date of this DVD was actually April 9th, 2019. So it hadn't been out too awfully long. So I would suggest, if you want to actually buy your own copy of it, you might want to check eBay and see if you can find it reasonably priced. Darren, I do believe I have seen Blood Frenzy. I'm really almost 100% positive that I've seen Blood Frenzy. Is that the one where it's basically like a encounter group or something? They go out in the desert and they're supposed to work through their feelings and their issues, and all these people have different, like, I think one guy's an alcoholic, and one girl doesn't want to be touched, and there's all different things going on. And there's a let's see, gosh, I'm forgetting his name. Buck Flowers. There's a Buck Flowers look-alike on this movie that I'm thinking of. So does that sound like the one you're talking about? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Jack in the Box cover. Yes. I liked it. I don't think Steve cared much for it, but I liked it. I thought it was a pretty good slasher, although I will say, for me, I figured out who the killer was early on. It just, if anything is bad about the movie, the killer seems a little more obvious than in other slashers. But other than that, I enjoy it. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, about to watch Blood Lake on Tubi tonight. Or on Tubi right now. Okay. Cool. I hope you enjoy it, oh curly jaws. Um, but I think that is. I know it's just. We just went 23 minutes or 24 minutes past 9 o'clock. And I have finished up talking about what I had planned to discuss. Um, but you guys can keep putting stuff in the chat. I'll be glad to stay on here a little over 30 minutes if you guys want to. I just wanted to give people time enough to head on over to listen to the Terror at 10 Killer commentary that Wes has put up for everybody. I think actually a Bloodlight vinyl would be cool, old curly jaws. Although I don't know, they may have to. I don't know how many Voyager songs there were. There may have been only one or two actual songs on there. But it's possible that Voyager may have did some other songs, and maybe they could pad out a vinyl with some of their other songs. I'd buy it. But I would like to ask, would you guys like me to continue on Wednesdays to do an Extreme Cheese Wednesday, and cover a couple of films every Wednesday that I consider cheesy? I would be certainly willing to do that. Or if anybody's got any other ideas for... oh, Curly Jaws has a resounding yes to that. If some of you guys have some other ideas for topics that I could have for live streams, feel free to put those in the chat. Darren, you say yes for sure. Okay, well, I've got two yays on that. So, there's a lot of topics I plan to go back and expand on, just like the video store memories. I've still got more video store memories I could share, more convention stories I could share. I want to continue to cover the last drive-in stuff. And, you know, like I said, I hope to be able to get Darcy on as a co-host at some point. Well, I'm not going to promise anything on Curly Jaws, but I will try to get that watched so that I can include it. And if I don't get to it, I'm sure I'll have something to talk to you guys about on Wednesday. Dark, you say, question of the year, Dana, when are you going to do a back-to-back watch, Hereditary Midsummer, LOL? I don't know if my poor brain and heart can take that, Dirk. Maybe I'll have to wait until I'm well and got all my strength back. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, surprisingly, it's on HBO Max. Okay. I actually have HBO Max through, when we got fiber internet through AT&T, we get a HBO Max subscription without having to pay any extra. Which is very kind of them, considering the fact that I'm paying like $80 a month for fiber internet. Something on my camera there. I was trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to bring up. Is there anything you guys want to throw out there that you want to discuss during the last 30 minutes or so? Anybody have any other suggestions for cheesy movies I could do. I know old Curly Jaws has thrown some out. Old Curly Jaws, you say, Dana, drink some Jaeger and watch Evil Dead from 2013. Oh, Lord, old Curly Jaws, I just can't. Plus, I don't have any Jaeger in the house. I have Fireball whiskey, but ever since I was doing shots of Fireball whiskey for money, made Dead Pit some coin, that I got sick and was sick for 3 days. I'm trying to take it easy with the Fireball. Darren, you want to know, Dana, what's your most underrated Dario Argento film? Darren, I would probably have to say Tenebrae. My camera just made me go severely out of focus. Because what I've noticed is there's not a lot of people that tend to mention Tenebrae whenever they're talking about their favorite Argento movies. Is this thing gonna... There, it finally refocused on me. But Tenebrae, you know, people mention Deep Red and they mention Suspiria, but I just don't hear Tenebrae mentioned nearly as often as some of the others. And so I would have to say that's probably my most, the one that I feel is the most underrated Dario Argento film. Dirk, I have seen Don't Look Now. It's been a little while, not too long while, but a little while since I've seen it. I like that movie. Actually, for some reason, though, Steve doesn't like watching it. And I can't remember the exact reason why, but he doesn't ever want to watch that film. You're seeing what I'm talking about now, aren't you, old Curly Jaws? That little Tony is great. Dirk, I could see opera. Texas, I should review Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. Believe it or not, I've seen that movie, but that has been a long while since I've seen Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. Darren, you say, I was saying to Dirk earlier, mine is Stendhal syndrome. I could see that too. John, you say, I watched Curtains for the first time earlier. Felt like they ran out of steam at the end, but it was enjoyable slasher. John, I think you felt like I did. I still enjoy Curtains. But you're right. It did feel like they ran out of steam at the end, and almost like they didn't really know where to go with it. When I feel like they could have done so much more than they actually did. But overall, a good film. Darky say he gets offended by the sex scene, huh, Dana? Well, you know, I think he mentioned something about the sex scene, although he didn't say he was offended. Believe it or not, he may have said that it went on too long and it was more than he needed to see. But I think there are other things about that movie that disturb him, which is why he really doesn't want to watch it again. And I don't know if it has to do with, you know, death of a child or whatever. I mean, come to think of it, Steve doesn't really, I mean, we don't even have any kids. But I don't see him watch things like Pet Sematary, which also deals with the death of a child, or any movies really that deal with, I'm not talking about something like Sleepaway Camp where those teenage boys get killed near the end of it. I'm talking about like really serious subject matter, like in the case of Don't Look Now, I believe the little girl Does she drown? I thought she drowned. In Pet Cemetery, the little boy gets run down in the road. And I'll admit that the scene, those two scenes are very disturbing to me too. But they don't keep me from going back and watching the movie. Um, I find the scene in Pet Cemetery especially hard to watch. Um, because even though I know that really no harm came to Miko Hughes, who was the actor who played Gage, um, even though I know no real harm came to him, the whole setup was done with mirrors, so the Miko Hughes was never in any real danger of being even clipped by this truck. Um, and I don't believe the driver was actually going as fast as the movie made it seem. But the whole, when you see the driver of the truck trying to stop, and you see Gage standing there with the little roll of twine going to his kite, and you know that impact's going to happen, and then you hear a lot of noise, and you see the boy's little shoe with blood on it bounce. I mean, even somebody without children, unless your heart's made of stone, that's going to be disturbing to you. And then when Lewis lets out the horrendous scream, uh, it just even adds insult to injury there. You've already seen the bloody tennis little shoe that belonged to this beautiful little boy, and then the heart wrenching sounds coming from the father in the movie. Just those two things tied together is just horrendous. Um, Darren, you say, I think Don't Look Now is a masterpiece in my top five films of all time. I really like it. I think it's one, like I've said about some other films, that it works on a lot of levels. Um, Sex scene or not in it, I still like the film. Texas, you say, Don't Look Now is a trip. I liked it a lot. Um, Oh, Curly Jaws, you say, the movie that gives me the creeps and truly gives me fear is the Final Destination because that shit could actually happen. Um, yeah, and I think that's the movies that really get to us. Like just like I was talking about Pet Cemetery and the boy getting run over in the road, um, that could happen. Um, Things like Cujo, where although there is a supernatural element to Cujo that's brought out more in the book than it is the movie, I could see a very large dog becoming rabid, and if the circumstances were right, trapping somebody in a vehicle. And if the vehicle, for some reason, would not start up, you're just stuck, and you're pretty much shit out of luck. Just think if a Saint Bernard or a Great Dane or another very large dog became rabid, how much of a force that animal would be. Um, Darren, you say, Who Saw Her Die in The Haunting of Julia are two excellent Don't Look Now style films. Exactly. Um, oh, Curly Jaws, you say, also when a stranger calls, it gives me chills. Yeah, and I'm assuming you mean the original When a Stranger Calls, because the remake of When a Stranger Calls, the reason why it did not work for me was, yeah, I know the babysitter was out in the middle of nowhere basically, but there were freaking cell phones, and uh, I don't know, just the whole setup didn't work for me because the original When a Stranger Calls, there were only landline phones. And the killer was upstairs using a phone upstairs that probably nobody ever hardly used. And he was already in the house. And he had already killed the children by the time that he called the babysitter from within the house. So that whole element of the killer already being in the house with you, sort of like Black Christmas, um, is just absolutely terrifying to me. Because I literally, in the days of landline phones only, I could totally see that happening. Some seriously mentally ill person got in their head that they were going to somehow get into a house and stow themselves away and then use a phone that was hardly ever used and call somebody in the house. It's like that is just very creepy and very terrifying. Oh, Curly Joshy's a wiener dog in the Cujo remake. Darren, you say the logs going through the windscreen in Final Destination sequel always gets me. Yeah. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say yes, the OG one. Okay. Um, Dirk, you say, have you heard Stephen King has written a novel called I, Jason, just waiting on Miller and Cunningham to settle their shit? It's supposed to be from Jason's point of view. I had not heard that, Dirk, but that is interesting. I would like to be able to read that novel. Um, but I don't know if Miller and Cunningham are ever going to be able to settle their shit. But and I don't think it's Cunningham's fault. Honestly, I don't think it's Cunningham's fault. Victor Miller seems like a complete asshole. He has caused so many problems. It's like, dude, how much credit do you want for stuff? Um, so I don't know. I put the majority, if not all, the blame on Victor Miller. Um, because I think it was Victor Miller that actually, you know how they had to stop uh, making enhancements to the Friday the 13th game? I think that was Victor Miller's fault because he put the kibosh on stuff just because. I mean, granted, I you have to give him credit for coming up with the background story and stuff, but I don't think that he even wanted there to be a Jason that showed up at the end of Friday the 13th. I think his main story was the Pamela Voorhees story. So, whatever they do with Jason shouldn't really have any bearing on him, in my opinion. Dougie say every time behind a log truck, I think of Final Destination 2. Yeah, there are certain movies that make me really, it really gives me pause when I'm kind of feel like I'm in a similar situation to the characters in a particular horror movie. Darren, you say, sadly, we are not going to get another Friday the 13th until one of them dies. Um, and you're probably right, Darren. And I don't want to see anybody die, and I know you don't either. But it seems like to me that at least Victor Miller's like a dog with a bone, and he's growling and snarling, and he's not going to give an inch with things. So uh, I don't see that happening either. Darky said, I hope we don't have to wait for Miller and Cunningham to die. But I'll probably go on for a few more minutes here. So if you guys have anything that you want to bring up, be sure to put it in the chat so we can discuss it. But I want to, I kind of want to get off of here before, a little bit before 10. Just like I said, I don't want to encroach on Wes's, sup, little special thing with the Terror at 10 killer, even though I'm on the Terror at 10 killer commentary. So you can leave this and go right to that, and you'll still have more of me. Um, yeah, Darren, I get the feeling that Miller and Cunningham do not like each other. Um, and yeah, nobody's going to give in at this point. This seems like a feud that's been going on and simmering for a while. So, yeah. Derek, you say you're excited to be back on the Euro cult. Yeah, we're gonna have to like have you back on. Like I said earlier, Steve's kind of pissed at me right now. Um, just the one thing I'll say about that, and Steve will probably kill me if he watches this or anybody says anything to him. Um, but I'll just say this, guys. If you are on any kind of medicine for mood stabilizers, or if you know somebody that's on any medication for mood stabilizers, please encourage them to stay on their medication and don't try to wean themselves off of it because it never works out well. Um, so I'll just say in a nutshell, that's what I'm dealing with right now. Um, with somebody refusing to take their medication that's been prescribed for them to help them. They insist on going off of it or taking themselves off of it, even without a doctor's care. And then coming home every afternoon from work and being unreasonable and starting arguments with their spouse. So, um, yeah. So I don't. I really, at this point, don't know how the next episode of Eurocult's going to go unless, um, and again, I don't mean to be airing dirty laundry on here for everybody to see and hear, but uh, it really bothers me, and I just want to, little word of warning. I don't know if the next episode of Eurocult will happen. I know it was my movie pick, which may make Steve more apt to not want to do it or not want to do it with me. So we'll just have to we'll have to see. Um, Dirk, you might get to take my place, buddy. uh, yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. If I'm welcome to be back on the show, Dirk. I like having other people on there. I mean, I love talking with Steve when he's not unhappy with me, and I love talking to Darren. And you were just a little extra icing on the cake when I got to talk to you as well and discuss things on there. So, yeah, I say more the merrier. Dirk, you don't want to do that. You don't want to take my place. Well, Darren, you say you're sure it will work out okay. Um, well, I'm hoping it does, but uh, oh, Curly Jaws, unfortunately, I don't think he wants anything from me now. Uh, he's not talking to me. Um, when you get in okay, I'll just share with you this argument that happened, and y'all will see how unreasonable this was. Um, Steve came home from work, and seemed to be okay, but he's been kind of snippy with me the last 2 3 days. And after he had been home a few minutes, the internet went out. And I was trying to finish up my work day, which means I need internet to remote into my PC at the office. And so, guys, I know what we need to do with this when this happens. We have two different wireless connections. We have the wireless connection with AT&T, and then Steve has a separate wireless router where he has the wireless connection that he had whenever I moved in with him. Okay, so he had Spectrum cable, and before that it was Time Warner, and before that it was Insight. Okay, so I finally got him talked in to getting AT&T fiber. I'm paying for it. He's not even having to pay half of it. And I realize it doesn't matter which internet service provider you go with, things are going to go kaput sometimes, and give you issues. So, but so every time this has happened, it's been tied in with Steve's wireless router, and I didn't mean anything by it. I just told him I think we need to unplug your wireless router, wait and plug it back in, and that's basically all I said. He accused me of going on and on about the same thing, complaining about his router. No, I just know what works to get the internet back on. But he fiddled around with it, insisted on unplugging the AT&T modem and all of that, and then claimed it was the AT&T side of it. Um, so he got really mad and was yelling at me and stuff like that. And so I knew there were things around the house for him to eat that I had already cooked, hamburgers and all that. All he's got to do is heat it up in the microwave. I know he knows how to do that. Or he had these pork dumpling things, or whatever you want to call them, that he could also heat up in the microwave. There was no reason for him to do what he did. But I said, well, you're going to have to make your own supper, because I'm just totally out of this. I don't want to argue about this anymore. And I said, you just find yourself something to eat. Um, so he gets mad, goes and lays down, and later on, a little bit after 6, he gets up, goes out to his vehicle, doesn't tell me where he's going, doesn't say when he'll be back, doesn't say anything. Comes back with Taco Bell, I think. Didn't bring me anything, didn't offer to bring me anything. So I'm like, hey, okay. And now he's asleep. So, uh, so, so that is what I've been dealing with. Like somebody just going completely overboard over little things, for about the past 3 days. So, let me. Let me read what y'all. Darren, I do hope it works out okay. And like I said, if Steve finds out, if he watches this and finds out that I told anybody this stuff, he'll be even more pissed. But, there are a lot worse things I could tell than that. So, oh, Curly Jaws, you say, oh, you told me to give Steve some Sweet Chin music. Well, yeah, I don't think he wants anything from me. Uh, Well, thank you, old Curly Jaws. You say you love me and Steve, and you're on meds too, so you understand. And like, I'm sure you would never try to go off your medicine. Steve's thing is he doesn't think that he needs it. He's been on them for years, but he doesn't think he needs them. Um, Dirk, you say this too shall pass, Dana. Yeah, I hope so, Dirk. I really do. This is very hard on me, and being sick and having to deal with that on top of it, this does not help. Um, oh, Curly Jaws, you say he'd be all right. Just give it time, hon. Yeah, maybe tomorrow will be better. Texas, you say, I have no idea what you're talking about, Dana. That all sounds like German to me. It probably did. Uh, I don't think Insight is still around, old Curly Jaws, actually. But that was what Steve originally had when we started dating. Uh, but on that note, guys, thank you for listening to me complain and carry on. And thank you for stopping by while we talked about Blood Hook and Blood Lake. And I might be back sooner than next Wednesday with something else. But I may try to make Wednesdays the regular Extreme Cheese Wednesday. Since several of you expressed an interest in me continuing that. And I would definitely want to do something that you guys would be interested in. So, on that note, I got about 5 minutes before Wes is going to have that Terror at 10 Killer commentary available. So, thank you guys once again for stopping by and hanging out with me. And I hope to be back with something here soon. So, I'm going to skedaddle on out of here. And I will catch all you guys on the flip side.